Can you imagine our goofy rubbery pirate jumping on a ship and screaming, "I'm gonna be the fleet admiral," instead of the pirate king? How different will the story be? And if this was true, will the Luffy that we have all come to love and respect still exist? Alright you guys, asked for it and it's finally here. What if Luffy became a Marine? Then we'll have a story where a young Marine captain goes from one base to another, all the while hunting pirates and uncovering the hidden truths of the world. And in this video we're going to explore this alternate reality where Luffy realizes that becoming a pirate isn't for him and decides to become a Marine instead, with a dream of rising through the ranks and eventually becoming the fleet admiral. Starting off with the beginning, the reason Luffy vowed to become a pirate in the first place is because of Shanks. As much as Garp tried to make sure Luffy grows up to be a fine Marine, Shanks entered the chat and everything changed. But what if we flip the script a little? Let's make it so that Shanks never meets Luffy. The gum fruit is never eaten by him either. Exactly, Luffy would be following in Garp's footsteps instead. This is good news for Shanks too, because not only would he get to keep his two arms, but here's where it gets tricky. We now know the truth about Luffy's fruit. Gum no Mi's other name is 𝐿𝐸𝐸 no Mi model, the sun god Nika. So if Luffy isn't the one to eat this fruit, who will? Yep, you guessed it guys, it'll be Ace. We can't have Luffy be the sun god and a Marine at the same time, so let's go with the second best Joy Boy candidate, Podcast the Ace. Shanks will have young Ace eat the fruit. Luffy, Ace, and Sabo will spend their childhood together. Not a lot would change, mostly because Luffy will be less competent because he never met Shanks. And well, he won't have a straw hat either. Then on the day when Sabo presumably dies, Luffy and Ace will swear to make things right. This is how their conversation will go. "So, you're really going to become a pirate, huh, Ace?" Luffy asks. "Yeah, the Pirate King is supposed to be the strongest, right? That's what Shanks told me. When I become the Pirate King, I'll wage war on the stupid clowns who rule this world. What about you, Luffy? Let's become pirates. I'll even let you be my right-hand man. We have to live our lives, so we don't have any regrets," Ace replies. Luffy thinks very deeply about it, and for a moment he says, "You know, Ace, I think I'll join the Marines." "What? Have you gone insane, Luffy?" Ace asks. But no, Luffy was dead serious. He explains his perspective to Ace, how he's going to rise through the ranks until finally he becomes the fleet admiral. That's when he'll destroy the current status quo. Fast forward to 10 years later, Ace had left to become a pirate 3 years ago, and now Luffy is ready to join the Marines. Another thing to note here is that the one carrying the straw hat in this alternate reality isn't Luffy, it's Ace. If we project the narrative of the actual story in this what-if scenario, Ace will go on to awaken the fruit and become Joy Boy. He'll be the man who will bring the world to its dawn. So what will Luffy's role be in this story? Well, he'll lift the curtain so that the world can actually appreciate the glory of the dawn. What do you think? Isn't it poetic? This brings us to the next part. What about the Straw Hats? If Luffy became a Marine, the Straw Hats won't be in the picture. Instead, we'll have a new cast of colorful characters that goes around capturing notorious pirates and saving those in danger, all the while ignoring the authorities. Though, wouldn't that mean that most of the Straw Hats would die because there's no Luffy to save them? Luckily, Luffy is still Luffy, even if he has decided to become a Marine. After leaving Fuchsia Village, he'll save Kobe from Alvida. The two of them would bond together over their shared dream of becoming Marines, which means that the next stop is Shellstown. This is where Zoro was going to starve to death if Luffy didn't show up when he did. However, since this Luffy is aspiring to be a Marine, he starts with going to the local Marine base together with Kobe. That's where they learn about Captain Morgan's tyranny. One thing leads to another, and before you know it, Luffy and Kobe realize exactly what's going on. This guy, Morgan, is sullying the good name of the Marines. He's abusing his authority as well. As for the guy he has taken captive, we're talking about Zoro. Luffy is quick to deduce that Zoro is completely innocent, and so he goes up to our pirate hunter Zoro. "You're going to die, Zoro. You know that, right?" Luffy says. "No way is something like hunger going to kill me. I'm the man who will become the strongest swordsman in the world. My name will soar through the heavens," Zoro replies. His entire body is heaving. "Listen, these guys are not going to unbind you until you die. I can tell. This journey isn't supposed to end for you here." "Zoro, let me unbind you. You're free to do what you want after that," Luffy says, and then continues, "As for me, I'll drag Morgan off from his high horse. A corrupt Marine is worse than a pirate hunter. It's not even close." Sure enough, Luffy frees Zoro. Zoro goes on to get his swords, and together they free Shellstown from the tyranny of Morgan. Luffy is recognized for doing the right thing, and Kobe is accepted as an apprentice, but Luffy reveals that he has to continue sailing the seas. In a quick flashback, we see how Garp instructed him to first make it to Marineford on his own. That's right, guys. For Luffy, this is all training. He'll have to make it to Marineford without a pirate crew. When he does that, Garp will personally have to fight one of the 3 admirals to access Luffy's abilities. This is his end goal for the time being. Luffy and Zoro bid each other farewell. It's a shame that their journeys don't align, but deep in their hearts and souls, they can tell that as long as they continue sailing the high seas, they will meet again. There is no Orange Town arc because Luffy and Zoro aren't sailing together to begin with. Nami does her thing and goes back to her village. Zoro, on the other hand, ends up at Syrup Village. He somehow vibes with Usopp and sticks around for a few days to replenish his energy and get his sword sharpened. This is where the whole thing with Captain Kudo happens, and you bet Zoro ruins that guy's career. After all, Zoro is still the pirate hunter. Zoro ends up inspiring Usopp to set sail as well. I mean, how long was Usopp going to stay cooped up on that tiny island? His goal is to be a pirate. Zoro and Usopp part ways. Then there is Baratie and Sanji. Luffy's stomach growls wildly. Sadly, there's no food on his tiny boat, and he has no energy to catch some fish either. A starving stomach and alone at the sea, Luffy's situation is about as unpleasant as it can get. Fortunately for him, the whims of the sea take him to the floating, remote restaurant called Baratie. Luffy's life is saved, and then comes the confrontation with Don Craig's fleet. And of course, let's not forget Dracul Mihawk, the world's strongest swordsman. The situation is similar to what happened in the actual story, but this time, there is no Zoro, no Nami, and no Usopp. Zoro's old buddies aren't in the group chat either. When Luffy learns that Mihawk is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, he gets a random, instinctual desire to fight Mihawk. He needs to know how well he fares against the hot shots of the world. But it's not that easy, is it? This version of Mihawk has no interest in Luffy. There is no Straw Hat after all. "Who are you, kid?" Mihawk asks. "Monkey D. Luffy, the man who'll become the fleet admiral of the Navy," Luffy replies. Mihawk ignores him and switches his attention to Don Krieg. He slashes Don Krieg's fleet and ruins the man's career. Sanji and Luffy can't do anything but watch. It's a bittersweet turn of events. Against the overwhelming might of Mihawk, Luffy and Sanji can't do anything but watch. A humbling experience to say the least. When Mihawk leaves, Luffy fights and wins against Don Krieg, but he now knows the difference between him and the world. Well, to be fair, Mihawk is a warlord, so there's no reason for an aspiring marine to fight him anyway. Before leaving for the next destination, Luffy and Sanji share one last meal. They open up to each other and Luffy says something that prompts Sanji to leave on his journey too. "One Piece and now all blue, huh? We don't know if these things or places actually exist or not, but I'd like to believe that they do. My brother Ace will find the One Piece, and I'm sure someone will find all blue too. That person could be you, Sanji," Luffy states. Zeph takes care of the rest, and with that, Sanji sets out on his own journey. Come hell or high water, he will find the all blue, and he will come back to Baratie to tell Zeph about it. Luffy is once again on his tiny boat. He isn't really sure which direction, so he travels around and checks out small islands one after the other. On one of these islands, he overhears something about a fisherman named Arlong, who's ruling a village like a tyrant, but the Navy hasn't done anything about him. Good, Luffy decides to head there. He was looking for a good opponent anyway. Meanwhile, right as Luffy is on his way to Nami Village, the one being ruled by Arlong, we see that fate has brought Mihawk and Zoro face to face again. "It can't be you. It's you, the man who bears the title of the world's strongest swordsman," Zoro states while unsheathing his swords. He's smiling. "3 swords, huh? Are you okay, young man?" Mihawk mocks Zoro. Their encounter is electric. Zoro wastes no moment in attacking Mihawk with everything he has got, but the gap in their abilities is clear. Zoro is so far below Mihawk, it doesn't even make sense. But hey, unlike Luffy, Mihawk actually entertained Zoro. Yes, he lost, but Mihawk finds Zoro's fiery spirit oddly refreshing. After the classic scar on Zoro's chest, Zoro wonders if he'll fight him again one day, to which Mihawk grins and leaves. He doesn't respond to Zoro. As for Zoro, he lies on the ground completely and utterly defeated. "He beat me, and I lost. Damn it," Zoro says to himself before getting up and continuing the grind. You guys see the pattern here? Since the Straw Hats aren't a crew in this alternate reality, everything is much harder and much more pessimistic. This is not to say they won't achieve their dreams, just that they would have been stronger as a group. Take Luffy's next fight, for example. He takes on Arlong right after stepping into Nami Village and gets himself beaten half to death. Yes, he can't defeat all of Arlong's clique by himself. No, he can't. Keep in mind, he doesn't have a devil fruit yet. That's not a bad thing or a disadvantage though. Garp told him to rely on his own fists, and he also taught him how to develop his haki. And finally, Luffy has a situation where he can do just that. He spits blood, his bones creak, but every time Arlong beats him half to death, Luffy's haki gets stronger. Gradually, little by little, he begins to get a hang of it. And then it happens. Luffy defeats every single one of Arlong's clique and frees Nami's people of their 8-year-long suffering. He also makes sure to pummel Captain Nezumi, the marine who was taking money from Arlong in return for keeping quiet. "The Navy has no need for scum like you," Luffy says while looking him dead in the eye. Nami and everyone thank him for what he did, but Luffy is oddly quiet. He collapses because of the perpetual exhaustion, so Nami and the others take him somewhere inside to treat him. Luffy wakes up 7 days later. He is in Nami's room. There are a lot of maps. When he asks Nami about it, she reveals her dream of making the map of the world. Luffy doesn't know how to explain it in words, but something about Nami's dream sets his heart ablaze. It reminds him of how vast the world is and how long his journey is going to be. That's right, he has no time to waste because right now, overcoming challenges is so much fun, he can hardly stand it. Luffy leaves for the entrance to the Grand Line. His last words to Nami went something like this: "A world map, huh? I wish I could see something like that." After Luffy enters the Grand Line, Zoro, Usopp, Sanji, and Nami entered it too. Individually, of course. Their journey has only just begun. Now I guess you guys must be wondering about what happened to Ace because, well, he won't be joining Whitebeard. He has to become the Pirate King after all. Believe it or not, Ace has made quite a name for himself by this point. He's already in the New World and his bounty is over 1 billion berries. As for the name of his crew, it's the Straw Hat Pirates. And you know who thought of this name for him? It was Luffy! Yes, back when they were young, Luffy was fascinated by the Straw Hat, so he said that Ace's crew in the future should be the Straw Hat Pirates. But wait, does that mean Ace is the protagonist now? Yes, but actually no. In this alternate reality, both Ace and Luffy have the equal importance. Ace will do what the former Pirate King wasn't able to do, and Luffy will do what Garp and Dragon haven't been able to do. It's the both of them who will pave the way to the dawn of the world. I can almost hear you. You want more of the story, right? Get this video to 15k likes and we'll show you the entire One Piece narrative in a way you've never imagined before.